All right, today we're going to talk about rotations, but to do that we need to review our clock. So remember that we can cut our clock up into 4 quarters. And so when we learned time, we said if we're starting at, the o'clock, we're at the 12. And when you turn the hand this way, the way a clock goes, by the way, that's called clockwise. If I were to go backwards, the way a clock does not go, that's called counterclockwise. So you need to know those 2 words. So starting from o'clock, if I went 15 minutes later, we would call that quarter after because it's a quarter of the clock. Well, in a rotation, if this is my starting point and I turn clockwise, a quarter turn, that's what that is. So it's a quarter turn clockwise. Then if I start here and I went all the way to the 6, we learned that that was half past. That's because it's half of the clock. So again, this would be a half turn clockwise. And then when we got to the 9, of course, we called that quarter to the next hour. But really, we went all the way from here, we went 1 quarter, 1 half, 1 quarter, 2 quarters, 3 quarters. So this would be considered a 3/4 turn clockwise. All right, so if we remember that and we look at how that arrow looks, we're always going about a point. So here's my point. My arrow's sticking up straight up, but when I do a quarter turn, it's going to the right. When I do a half turn, it's pointing down, and when I do a 3/4 turn, it's pointing to the left. Now I'm going to show you a different shape. So we're going to look at this. Now, if I start here this time, I drew it actually and put start. If I start here, again, I have to always go about a point. So I'm going to turn this, and that little corner stays on the point, and this is a quarter turn clockwise. This is a half turn clockwise. This would be 3/4 clockwise. And then I'm back to the start. If I go the opposite way, this would be a quarter turn counterclockwise, a half turn counterclockwise, which you can see is exactly the same as a half turn clockwise. So you'd actually end up in the same spot both times. But if we continue, this would be 3/4 counterclockwise and back to the start. So it's always about a point. You're always trying to take a part of that shape and go around a point to see for rotations.